Grab your spears and raise your tomahawks, Seminole fans. You are listening and watching The Warpath, the weekly collaboration between the Osceola.com and Warchant.com. My name is Nick Carlisle, staff writer for the Osceola. That is Matt Lasea, recruiting writer for Warchant. And let us be the first, well, probably not the first at this point by the time that this goes live, but maybe the second, maybe even hopefully the fourth or fifth members of the Warchant, obviously the Osceola family, to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. We hope that you had a wonderful time with your loved ones yesterday, watching some football, taking everything in, and maybe feeling a little bit better about the big news from last weekend. And of course, Matt Lasser, that big news is that Mike Norvell will be retained as Florida State's head football coach for the 2026 season, much to the chagrin and probably the irritation of a large portion of the fan base. But something that I think you and I, as we wrestled with recruiting over the last couple of weeks, we felt more and more, and we said this last week, that this was probably a solution that we felt like was coming. The recruiting didn't necessarily match up with the idea that Mike Norvell was going to get fired at the end of the season. They continued to build momentum with certain prospects. The communication to prospects and Florida State commitments behind the scene was that Mike Norvell wasn't going anywhere. And now we do have that confirmation. We're out of limbo. Finally, we're out of limbo.
Which is nice.
It's nice. But
it's kind of hard to cover recruiting when you don't know who the coach is going to be.
Exactly. Mike Norvell is going to be retained for the 2026 season. What was your initial reaction when you found that out? I'm guaranteeing you it was probably vastly different than my reaction because I had to pull over immediately to a McDonald's and get a live show going. My reaction was, oh no, but not in the oh no that probably most people felt.
Yeah, I wasn't really surprised. I was actually, I think, like right as it was like breaking, I hadn't seen it yet, and I was driving to the facility just to kind of do a lap around, see if anything was going on. I mean, when you live across the street, you could do things like that just to see. But it's, yeah, I wasn't surprised. I mean, I've been saying it for 2 weeks now that I felt like that was going to be what was going to happen, right? Like it made sense with this job market, with that buyout. Now, again, I want to reiterate, because a lot of people are also saying this, if they wanted to make the decision, they could have made the decision. It's not like they're too broke to make it. They just decided that it wasn't the right financial decision right now, or they don't want to make that financial decision right now. There is a difference between the two. It's not that they can't afford it. But I wasn't really surprised. And if anything, it's good for recruiting. I mean, it's not on our show plan, but we can go over to the recruit reactions a little bit if you want.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure you were probably hitting up the phone lines and talking to all of Florida State's commitments, and there are a lot of them, and they're continuing to get more as the days go by. This is going to be one massive recruiting class for Florida State. We'll probably talk about that or loop that in a little bit with what we're going to talk about next here, but I just want to run through the statement that the university released real quick. We're not going to read all of it, but I think the most important part, and something that I think we're going to be debating well into the offseason, is the third paragraph here that says, in addition to addressing the reality that on-field results have been far from acceptable to the FSU standard, we also realize our responsibilities as stewards of the program as stewards of program revenues and how to best allocate those dollars to compete at an elite level. Something we will not compromise. That's Chairman Collins that said that. Throughout the assessment, one goal will remain beyond all others: achieving sustained championship level success. We will address performance deficiencies in the program. These deficiencies may include structural changes to the very large and complex program FSU football has become, and these areas are where we will focus and invest. Our responsibility is to do what gives Florida State the strongest competitive position, not just today, but for years to come. Florida State has invested. Sorry, was that?
So I was going to say, in the context of that, did they say the word front office in the statement? I forget.
They did not say the word front office in the statement.
Pete Nakos reported before the statement came out that there were conversations about making front office changes. So that's the context that goes next to the statement of that's probably where he's talking about having a comprehensive assessment.
And the immediate, I guess, the reaction to it and the assumption is that this potentially could be the removal of Derek Ray as general manager or director of player personnel, whatever that title is, that role within the recruiting operation and
or
instill
restructuring. We're not really sure exactly what moves they're going to make.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the one everyone looks to first, or that's the one everyone assumes when they read it. Correct.
Right. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder. So, and I think Ira and Tom, I talked about this on the Smash. What would your ideal structure of a front office be in today's college football? Would you want a GM that's basically on the same level as Mike? Now, my opposition to that is that if Mike still isn't calling plays and you have a guy looking at talent more so, what does Mike do? Like in general,
besides collect a $10 million paycheck, right?
And give motivational speeches, right? Like that's
right.
where my that's where my question goes of that's where my question goes of if you have a general manager like that, which is I think is probably, I feel like that's probably the direction we're heading in, right? Like if they're going to make it more NFL style, like people have been doing, like Oklahoma has been doing, that feels right.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine that you try to follow that Oklahoma model. I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely would not have the situation where the general manager is above Mike Norvell, like an Andrew Luck.
No, but equal footing.
Equal, maybe even a little bit below. Essentially, I want a general manager that does nothing but evaluate talent and handle the expenses and the logistics of talent acquisition and talent retainal. That is what I am looking for, because, and especially in the case of Mike Norvell, that is what he is or has struggled with the most in terms of the recruiting, is evaluating, finding the right guys and getting them for the right price and not overpaying for prospects that you really, really want. So whatever manipulation they need to do for that role, to create that role and help Mike, if that's what they intend to do, we don't know. There's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts involved in this. But assuming that's what they want to do, whatever they need to do to hand mold that position, that is what Mike Norvell needs the most help with, at least from the outside perspective, an informed outside perspective, but still an outside perspective. You don't know the nitty gritty of what's going on in the building. Whatever they need to do to get that is what I would want them to do.
So what kind of background do you think this person should have? Like, should it be an NFL guy who knows the X's and O's, knows how to evaluate talent? Or do you want someone who maybe made their way up, or not evaluate talent, but know like the money game side, right? Or do you want someone who's come up from college scouting and knows the relationship side and all that kind of stuff? That's where this decision is going to be made. Also, who makes the hire? Is it Alfred making the hire? Is it Collins making the hire? Like, there's so many questions in this, and we still don't know if that's what they're doing. That's where everyone looks. It's what you assume. But it's, they could, out of nowhere, say, yeah, Derek Ray is going to be more in this kind of role instead, and move it around. I don't know. Like, none of us know how this restructuring is going to go.
I almost
do
feel
think it's
like
going to go more towards the NFL model.
I almost feel like it needs to be two people, because
like someone who just sits in the film room all day evaluating talent, and another one that's outside doing everything else. Or what do you mean by that?
Yes, I think there's a very strong argument for both sides of the coin. And Ira talked about this last night on the Smash. Obviously, we're recording this on a Tuesday, if you couldn't tell. He said something to the equivalent on the outside of the Smash, our last night on the Smash, that do you want somebody, essentially the question that you just posed, do you want somebody that knows the ins and outs of college football, or do you want somebody that's going to be able to run and control the money? And I don't know that there's necessarily a candidate that is going to have both those things. Could it be like a Martin Mayhew type of person? That's why I feel like there needs to be two people. There needs to be a general manager, an assistant general manager, and what exactly their duties are, you're going to figure that out later. One person that understands the college game, understands recruiting, has been brought up in it, and understands the college side of things, but also somebody from maybe a more NFL perspective, where you understand that the NFL is not just about football. It's also about running a business and having a successful business. So if you can find both of those things into one package, you've just hit a home run. But if you can't, I don't think you should be afraid.
I think it's impossible to find that in one package.
Exactly. So maybe there's a general manager, an assistant general manager, and what those day-to-day duties are, what those titles are, what those responsibilities are. You figure that out when you get there, I think. But you do need to look in that specific area. And that's where they say they're going to be looking. And the other aspect to it is that they insinuate that they are going to divert more resources and give Mike Norvell and this was also reported, I believe, that they're going to give more resources to help with the recruiting and the talent acquisition part of Mike Norvell.
So more NIL money.
State. So more NIL money. This right here actually is the interesting part to me, because when it comes to trying to salvage this program under Mike, there's only so many other rocks that you can turn over to find solutions. And if you're going to overhaul the whole staff last year, you're going to make wholesale changes last year. Now it's time to go into the front office and make changes there. You're running out of rocks to turn over.
This has to be the last one.
Sorry, was that?
This has to be the last one. There's nothing else you can.
Oh yeah, we agree on that. If this is a failure, if you can't get things turned around after this, he needs to be gone next year. And if you're at that point, that's where I feel like you and I are not quite caught up to fans yet, in the sense that fans are like, well, let me rephrase that. I don't want to speak for you. Everybody's like, it's incompetency now. I feel like incompetency, mediocrity, those are the buzzwords that are being thrown around. I don't think you and I are there yet. I think you and I would both agree that he deserved to be fired, and that we probably would have expected him to be fired. I think we've been on the show a couple of times saying that's probably what needs to happen. But in terms of like the incompetency side of the FSU administration, if this doesn't work next year and we're having the same conversation, Matt, that's when you start banging, okay, this place is incompetent. There needs sweeping changes.
Yeah.
To get to the point, I'm sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. The installation of resources is what's interesting to me, because
it's not like you didn't have them before.
Right. It's not like you didn't have them before. And how you instill those resources and how you give help, whether that's an NIL money or flexibility of a salary cap. I mean, obviously, Lane Kiffin might get $25 million a year for a roster if he goes to LSU. How you give those resources and where you spend those resources, Matt, I think that's the most important and the most interesting part to all of this.
Yeah, I could see that. So, what positions you put him at, or like where in the staff?
No, I'm talking about I'm talking more about how and when, because if we're strictly using this to talk about recruiting, your two areas of spending on the roster are in the portal. Let's say three. It's acquisition in the portal, retaining your players during the portal window,
and then high
school recruiting. This administration is at least insinuating that they're going to dump more money into the recruiting operation. And what I am stuck on is this administration is giving money to Mike to essentially do what he has done for the last 6 years, which is play around in the portal sandbox. And sometimes he finds logs in the sandbox, and other times, he finds diamonds in the rough.
And you can't recruiting, you wouldn't see a difference in until 2 to 3 years down the road, because that doesn't fix the team right away. So yeah, I agree with you on that. It will all go to the portal once again. You have to. I know I heard you talking about this on Seminoles sidelines a little bit. The other day. You have to go to the portal if you're going to try to get this quick fix. Now, you're also hammering the drum of, you have these young guys. We talked about this last week, young contributors, and how many of those there really are and stuff. But you also have those that you're being the drum on of. So you have to use that money to retain them as well. Now, I think most of those guys have multi-year deals just because of how young they are. I think that's becoming a regular practice of these kids getting multi-year deals right out of high school, because for the most part, it's basically 2 freshman years, because you're getting your regular freshman year, then a redshirt freshman year.
It's the front loading. It's the front loading that's been happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to retain all those guys. You think the Desirs aren't going to ask for a raise? I don't know that, but they deserve one. But it's so you retain those guys, and then that can make your recruiting operation look better if they keep developing, right? Because you can say these are homegrown talents, and you're starting now. You keep hammering the recruiting. Going into next cycle, you have to hammer the high school recruiting and do well on that front for the 2027 class, which they've done a good job of building early. Now we'll see how changing the front office staff changes that, because there's still relationships in there that could affect these recruitments. But then you're close to you're starting to get to the point where you can fill in your gaps in the portal as you get that along. Now to start in this cycle, yes, you have to go portal heavy. You don't have a choice because you're losing pretty much all your offensive line. I think now correct me if I'm wrong here. I think if they were to make a bowl game and they beat Florida on Friday, that say most of your starting offensive linemen opt out to get ready for the draft, which would make sense. I think that would be a good tell for us to show how heavy they'll need to go in the portal for offensive line, right? Like we haven't really seen much Andre Otto this year. We haven't seen much Sandman Thompson this year. So I think a bowl game would be good for that reason of see how they perform there. And that's your eval to see if you really need to go get another center, if you need to get a whole new offensive line.
Yeah. You need to see if that lookout block from Lucas Simmons on Brock Glenn in whatever game that was, that was Wake Forest.
That cost him the spike baseball.
So you got to figure out if that lookout block was a trend or a mistake.
And I think that's where bowl practices would be very important.
Yeah.
And bowl game.
Right. And that's something that Florida State obviously didn't get last year. Frankly, I don't think they're going to get that this year. I felt confident that they would go in to NC State and win. Obviously, that's not what happened. They played horrible. Well, some people played horrible. It was a tough watch. Let's put it that way.
There was also some unlucky bounces.
Yeah. Something.
By the way, am I the only one watching on TV that thought when the ball bounced off his helmet that I was like, oh, he could like scoop this up and score, and then the punter came into frame. You're like, oh,
yeah.
That was like I was like, oh, this might actually be good.
Yeah.
All right, before we continue this conversation on bowl practices and what it could mean for this Florida State team and building the roster here forward, or the possibility of bowl practices, we want to let you know about our Black Friday deal. As it is Black Friday today, we are offering 50% off for Warchant, and our boss Gene is being extra nice by offering a $25 Garnet and Gold gift card if you sign up today. Again, 50% off and a $25 Garnet and Gold gift card. So go crazy, and all the recruiting information we give out here, it's all over on the recruiting board first, and that's where you really get the information. You really get in the weeds. We just discuss it more in depth here. So yeah, go ahead and take advantage of that deal.
I don't see them going in and beating Florida this week, so they're not going to get those bowl practices. And then it really just becomes about, okay, this has got to be a really, really good portal window for Florida State. And you're going to have to get it right this time because remember, there's no spring window now. It's just the winter window. You're going to have to go in and you're going to have to get things right. Now, I wonder if the fact that there's no we've talked about this on the Warpath before, but the fact that there's no spring portal window, is that going to make it more of a splash in the winter window to where you see teams investing more, there's more players in the portal in the winter, or is it going to have the opposite effect where people are going to be less likely to enter the portal because they know they're not going to get a mulligan if they decide to leave their program and then go to another place and say, oh, I'm actually not going to be competing for a starting job here. I need to go elsewhere.
I'm going to go with the in-between. And because I think I still think there's going to be a lot, because there has to be a lot with it being packed into only a few days. Like by math, there's going to be more people in this one portal window than there's ever been, just by like that's simple math, simple common sense, right? But I also I'm wondering to see that how much better retaining players has gotten, because now that everything's in-house and it's not just a collective doing it, that leads to more multi-year contracts for these players, making it to where more guys will stick around. So it's kind of now what also doesn't help is coaching carousels, because that's going to cause a bunch of guys to go in no matter what, since this one's already been crazy. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of people, but I'm very interested to see how retaining goes this time around for the schools that did keep their coaches, because I think it's a lot easier to do under the house settlement than it was to do with collectives.
And then there's also yeah, I would agree with that. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And the other wild card, of course, being, is this a portal window that sees more true freshmen enter the portal? And I mean, recently signed true freshmen
that'll probably happen. I think, because I was talking to some other people around the industry. And I think, like, remember how I said last week that Dallas Wilson trend? I think that's going to be what we're going to see because everyone wants a place to go on signing day. They don't want to have no options, right? Everyone needs a backup plan or wants a plan of where to go. And so, yeah, I think we'll see that a lot from these places that don't have coaches.
So to the point, and wrap up the discussion here, I think that you and I both agree that in order for this to work in the way that we imagine that it's going to have to work, is that they are going to have to throw money at the portal to have a better roster for next year. Because if this money is being split 50-50 or is actually being used to get better high school prospects, you're playing a very dangerous game there because the return of investment for a better 2027 class, you're not going to get that until next December, and Mike may not even be the coach by then. So you have to invest it. That is why, to me, it seems like
you need a
portal play, which is
a sure thing,
which is scary because I think Florida State fans are sick and tired of Florida State living in the portal. You're basically giving Mike another chance, and you're giving him more resources to do basically what he has done for the last 6 years to varying degrees of success. Now, if this turns into a 2023 thing where you get a Jakeem Bell and you get a Braden Fisk, you get some of those other guys, and it makes a tangible difference, well, then okay, you're gonna feel a lot better about that. Do you go and you spend $1 million or $2 million on a quarterback because Castellanos is clearly not the answer here? And frankly, even if he gets that waiver signed, I think I would move on from Castellanos. So do you invest that in a quarterback? You are already talking about needing to replace multiple offensive linemen. We like Chavez Thompson. We like Andre Otto, at least on paper. Frankly, I think they're more excited about Thompson than they are about Andre Otto, if I'm reading.
Yeah, I think that's shifted. Yeah.
But then you also need linebackers. Clearly, you need defensive ends to help the Desir twins. You're going to need a big nose tackle probably for depth pieces because, frankly, KJ Sampson isn't impressing me. Daniel Lyons isn't really impressing me. Some of those younger guys like Jamori Flagg, who even knows what they're doing on the roster. There are some serious holes. Essentially, I feel like you're almost taking the Texas Tech approach where you're just going to shove money at the portal and maybe even overpay for guys, but you're going to have a better roster.
If Denas White never left, this would be so different.
God damn it, Denas. That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. I thought that was good comedic timing.
Yes, it was very good. Well done.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. And I said this last year too, after 2-10, and I was like, this has to be the last time you do everything in the portal. It has to. You need to start getting the high school recruiting right. So that way because it's clear that the formula is it still goes down to high school recruiting. You build through that and you fill in the holes through the portal. That's the way Georgia does it. That's the way, I don't want to say Clemson because they're not having a good year, but that's the way they're starting to do it. That's the way Alabama does it. Like, that's the way these places Ohio State, that's the way, even though their quarterback's a portal guy, but he was at Alabama for a cup of coffee. So does that really count? That's the way it needs to be. You fill your gaps through the portal, but you build homegrown in high school still. And that's the formula for success. It's seen all over the country. So I'm going to say it again, just like I said last year. And now I think we're getting closer to it, just the way these young guys are projecting and the way they're doing.
Yeah.
But this has to be your last big portal year. Has to be.
Well, it's going to be either way because he's either going to get fired next year or he's going to have a better roster.
Or the recruiting's going to do well. Yeah. So but they're going to be, and it's going to be fun for us out there on the, well, not really a bench anymore, on the ledge. And on the pole, I guess. I don't even know how to describe it.
You mean the whatever you're resting on
the steps?
Outside?
Yeah.
On the steps?
I guess on the steps.
On the steps. Not as catchy as on the bench.
No, it's not. Not at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the other part of it too is that this high school recruiting class is so big. I mean, if we weren't living in a 105 scholarship era, that would be close to half your roster with
I thought about that too.
or
It's almost
probably
30
just
kids.
over a third, or I don't know. I'm not a math person. I'm a journalist, for Christ's sake. It's one of those. So it's one of those things where they're gearing up. They have a bigger high school class. They have bodies, so you're not going to need. I mean, you're going to need some veteran bodies in there, but you're not going to need as much. I guess my point being, you're probably not going to have to go after like a Diamante Diggs or something in the portal this year, hopefully, to where it's like, okay, this is very clearly just a body to throw in a uniform, and maybe he's going to surprise you. Now,
you need for sure all for sure starters because you have all those depth pieces with what you got from high school.
Exactly, and no offense to Diamante, of course he's been injured. That's not his fault, but it's hard to get.
He didn't come in here
enthusiastic about a defensive end from Coastal Carolina that wasn't even a defensive end for most of his collegiate career, if I remember correctly. So
I'm going to keep my thoughts on Diggs to myself. I've said it before, the top 40.
Yeah. So one way or another, it's going to be extremely interesting to see how Florida State is going to get themselves out of this tangled mess, if they get themselves out of this tangled mess. Speaking of tangled messes, sometimes, your beard, Matt Lacer, not your beard, but my beard specifically, sometimes when it gets a little bit too long, it gets all knotty and tangled, sometimes you just need to shave things. Well, that's where Dollar Shave Club comes into play, sponsor of the Warpath. When you rep your team, you don't stop at the jersey. Dollar Shave Club's collegiate razor handles combine grooming with glory, letting students, grads, and fans show their school spirit and style. From the sink to the stadium, shave with school pride. Visit dollarshaveclub.com to grab your college handle today. All right, Matt. Well, the I don't want to call it the repercussions because there are some repercussions. There are some wins on the recruiting trail for Mike Norvell since him being announced as him being the coach next year. Damod Lewis, who is out of Myers Park in North Carolina, a prospect that back and forth between Nebraska and Florida State over the last couple of weeks of the recruitment. Mike Norvell being retained was enough for him to pull the trigger on a commitment to Florida State. Were you surprised that Damod chose Florida State over Nebraska?
Not surprised that he chose Florida State. Surprised that he committed overall. Yeah, I didn't know it was coming. I know you didn't know it was coming either. That was kind of a surprise that happened in the middle of the press conferences, the coordinator press conferences on Sunday, and I had to type it up while Brandon Aubrey was kicking a game-winning field goal, and I got to enjoy it a little less because of it, but it's fine. This is one that the pedigree's there. Like, he has the genetics. His brother was a third-round draft pick and plays for the Carolina Panthers. Won a national title at LSU. He was their starting guard, Damian Lewis. I think I got the first name right. So like the genetics are there. You need to put a little bit of weight on him to be that like pass rusher guy. Definitely developmental piece. No one's arguing that. But yeah, I just think this one was trending Florida State's way ever since he left, because he did take an LSU visit for the Arkansas game, but that, like, again, doesn't make sense when they don't have a coach to commit there. And LSU was never really a threat here. It was always Nebraska where it was trending. Some North Carolina schools, Texas pushed at one point, which is good to hear when you're getting a 3-star that you had a school like Texas going after him. Yeah, I mean, congrats to him. You're going to be a developmental piece in my eyes.
The retainal of Mike Norvell not saving every recruitment, however, actually, hold on. I see this on the list here. Let's go through this first. Our friend Justin Wells with Inside Texas putting in an RPM pick for another linebacker to Texas. So it looks like Karan Maycock is safe and will sign with Florida State. At least that's kind of the dominoes. That's what the assumption is with this move. I know you sent him a text and he felt like the ship has sailed.
Yeah, he said I assume that is friend of the show, Justin Wells, said he assumed that yes, that ship has sailed, just because they're only looking for one more. And yeah, that's what we put out an article right after the retainal, not right after, but pretty soon after that, of like recruitments, that this one probably locks up completely with him being retained. And it was Maycock, Ephraim White, which Ephraim White was what I kind of just threw in there because he had still been talking at NC State. Who was the other one? Do you remember who the third one I put on there was?
It was like another SEC program, like a random SEC program, I think like a Kentucky or something.
I'm finding this. I don't know how I don't remember three of them. Devin Carter. Devin Carter, because some SEC programs had still been talking to him, and the coaching staff was obviously big with that one, right? Remember how like he didn't like the receiver development with Dugans and decommitted, and then comes back with this one. So you would assume that he would want to see the wide receiver coach or who came in, and that's with everybody. But it's that was one that I thought just because there were still schools hitting him up, and even though he hadn't visited anywhere else. But yeah, for the most part, even Isaiah Williams, like I think Isaiah Williams is for sure signing with Florida State. I don't think there was any wavering in that. He basically said the official visit that was shut down, but this locks that
Good
up
for him
as well. Yeah. Yeah, like I think like there's it for the most part locks everyone up. Obviously Kron Maycock with that one is a good one to hear because that was the one that we talked about it. He was the one flirting around the most at this point, right? Most of these guys hadn't taken other visits, at least ones that we knew about, and we'll get into one of those that we just found out about in a second. But it's that was the biggest one we were really watching as a guy who could flip away, and it's good to see that with those dominoes falling, he's probably around for the long haul.
And it's a player that you and I both like. It's a player that you and I think are very underrated, and
that's one. That's the biggest one in this class of stars don't matter. There's a reason why Alabama was still going after him. Miami was definitely not happy when he chose Florida State. Alabama, Texas, like he had all the big guys wanting him in the summer, not just now when Texas came calling a little late. Like he was a top recruit in the eyes of many staffs around the country. And I think you and I both agree with.
He's a football player. He's a football player. I think you find kids that play football, and then there's also football players. It's a fine line in the sand. I think Maycock is one of those dudes where it's like, I don't, and maybe like to even throw this back into the discussion, like at the beginning of the show, I feel like this roster doesn't have enough football players. The Desir twins are football players. Like those are, they're not
guys who are physical and want to hit someone.
Yes, they're not dudes that play football and happen to play a certain position. They are dogs. They are football players. That's the type of prospect that I see with Kron Maycock. And that's why I feel very high on. And that's why I loved Jay Timmons when I first saw him at that camp all the way back in the summer. And I'm like, this dude's a football player. How have we not offered him yet? And of course,
those are the guys who are always the highest ranked at the end too.
And now I get to see him in scarlet and gray, and it's going to hurt my heart for a couple of years until he makes it to the NFL, hopefully for him.
Until he goes to the portal and comes back.
Don't start.
Oh, also, wait, now that you said Jay Timmons, a lot of people on the boards are like, can he flip back now that we know Norvell is staying and all that kind of stuff? I don't think he flipped away because the Norvell uncertainty. I don't think he flipped away because the money. I think he flipped away because it's Ohio State and they're the number one team in the country and have been consistently competing for national championships and consistently putting guys in the NFL.
And they're doing it to everybody too. There was a Tennessee commit that was a 5-star that flipped to Ohio State, or that flipped from Tennessee to Ohio State too. They're doing it to everybody.
And they'll get CJ Bro now probably too, right? I don't know if that's officially announced, but it's like, dude, that's just insane. It's Ohio State.
They're the final boss.
All of us, if all of us were in that situation, we would make the same decision. There's no way you would.
I know that you all have played college football 26 and you're running a middling program, as a head coach, and you get to week 11 or week 12. And you see that little dot at the corner of your screen. It says Ohio State offered. You're losing that recruit. They're going to catch up in like 3 weeks and steal that dude from you.
I don't know about you, but my UTSA Roadrunners don't take Ohio State as a big enemy. We take every recruit we can from the Buckeyes down to San Antonio.
The Roadrunners.
Which I beat Ohio State in the national championship game.
Oh, how about that? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very good for you.
I left for
Baylor. Get back on track here. We started to get into it, then I remembered that Maycock was probably one that was going to stick, and we mentioned it first before we talk about the decommitments, and that is Deron Parks, who decommitted from Florida State this morning, took a visit to UNC over the weekend. That was what I would assume would be his destination.
That's what's trending, and there's UNC commits tweeting at him as well.
What's that?
There's UNC commits tweeting it at him as well with the decommitment news. So it looks like it's trending that direction. We didn't realize he was taking that visit, but we just found out about it when he decommitted. So it makes it pretty simple with where this is going.
Yeah. I would assume it's a closer to home play. I mean, he transferred back to West Virginia, Nitro High, to be closer to family. He was at Cardinal Mooney when Herb Hand started recruiting him. Moved back to West Virginia, maybe a closer to home play. Is that what it reads to you, or it could just be a NIL thing as well? Not a combination of all things, but
I was gonna say I think all of the above. It is what it is, right? I think the thing I'm worried about more with that decommitment is they already needed an offensive tackle in this class, and we still weren't sure where they were going to go, and now they lose another lineman, and they don't really have many in this class. So I'm wondering if they make a last-second push here as signing day gets closer for somebody.
Well, it doesn't matter, Matt Lassere, because they're going to hit the portal, baby.
That's true. That's also true.
Ching, 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 ching. Straight
That's
7.
also true.
And it's not going to matter because Mike's going to get fired next year. I'm projecting here. So I am letting the inner fan. It's like the Kermit meme where it's like evil Kermit. You know, it's like he's not even gonna be here next year, so who cares? But in all seriousness, that is the bigger concern, is the fact that Florida State, really even Parks wasn't even a bona fide offensive tackle. He was 6'5" and overweight. He lost a lot of weight during the senior season.
He was getting better, he was getting better.
But he's still projected as an inside guy. I mean, you have a bunch of guys that could probably play tackle, but are going to end up being inside guys. And it's just another consistent blight on the recruiting of a Mike Norvell tenure. Lack of good quarterback recruiting, lack of good offensive tackle recruiting, and lack of edge rusher recruiting. Now, they were able to get a couple guys at edge rusher on the back end. Who knows how well they're going to play out. There's a couple guys that we think could be pretty good. But tackle and quarterback.
Recruiting edge rushers in this defense is a little weird, too, I think.
Yeah,
getting the right guy as for a jack position, I think is hard to do, and I think it's so specific, and I think it's hard to sell to a lot of kids.
I would imagine so, especially because the 3-3-5 is so foreign. And there are some kids that that came in on visits and it's like, oh, this is exactly like we did in high school. I'll be like, really? You're not running a 4-3 or 4-2-5? Like I don't know. Yeah, interesting.
I think they always do that when they go over film. They go, look, this is what you're doing in high school right here. Look, we're just doing the same thing here. We call it something different and do everything do something a little different. And it's like one of my middle school coaches once tried to recruit a tennis kid to play football. And he goes, it's just like tennis, but different.
Okay, what part of tennis is like football? I mean, there's a ball.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing, but different.
Okay, it's a great recruiting pitch. Your high school wasn't good at football, was it?
My senior year we went pretty far in the playoffs. We lost to Alito though, but Alito is like a state power.
Yeah.
So
not so bad. We are, believe it or not, 1 week away from signing day. Believe it or not, that Ripley's believe
actually
it or not.
From when this is out, a couple of days.
But recording this on a Tuesday morning. We're 1 week away from signing day. Florida State scratching that 30 prospect signing class. It's hard to imagine that there's going to be any surprises. It's not.
I really don't think so.
Be one of those. It's not going to be one of those Saturdays one of those Wednesdays where you're sitting at the computer and you're frantically looking. You're looking at a commitment ceremony of an Usman Kroma or a Jeremiah Smith. Doesn't project to be one of those days, at least from where we're sitting. Is there anybody that could potentially be a surprise here for Florida State last minute?
Not as of now. Now, like with the offensive line situation, we'll see if that changes, right? If they make a push somewhere like that we didn't expect before, that would be probably the place I would think it would happen if it were to happen. But in general, no. Like I think most of these kids are going to stick. I don't foresee a big flip happening anywhere like it's had a few years back, right? Or it's happened multiple times at Florida State. So like Ernest rank, if we did what we did a couple months ago at this point, where we went down the list and said like how we feel about each kid and them sticking, I think each one you're going to be at a 75% or higher at this point. Would you agree?
I would have to imagine so, especially now that Mike is getting retained. It doesn't feel like there's a ton of kids.
And also, a lot of these kids don't have backup options with the way the coaching carousel is right now.
Yeah. I also don't and this is going to come off being extremely negative. I don't think that there's a lot of kids that are going to have superpowers coming after them. You know, this isn't like you're holding on to a KJ Bolden or an Armando Blunt or a Cedric Falk or Kedrick Falk. Like it's not this type of class. It's very much a quantity. There's quality. Do not get me wrong. There are some really nice players in this class, but it's majority quantity, and something that a little scary. You're gonna have to trust the evals, I think, of the staff of the new staff on this one. And
are you which ones outside of Isaiah Williams? Because obviously,
hold on before we do that, we got to talk about Andy. We got to talk about Andy. Okay. We can't get this far into the warpath without talking about Andy Ludicky and My Perfect Franchise. Do you want to diversify, build wealth, or leave a legacy? Do you have a job and want a side hustle? Are you sick of that job and are ready to leave the corporate rat race behind? Andy can help you. He's a franchise consultant as well as a franchise owner, and he helps people find franchises that fit their skill sets, their passions, their financial requirements. His services are 100% free, and he's here to help you if you have any questions about business ownership. And he is a massive college football fan. We've been telling you Andy's a massive college football fan all week. Tell him that the Warpath told you about him. He'd love to have that conversation with you. Head to myperfectfranchise.net to learn more, or you can text or call Andy at 404-973-9901. Thank you, Andy, for sponsoring the Warpath. And hey, there may be some people that may need to go into franchising soon off of this coaching staff. That is. We've had a couple of A+ transitions or over the past or segues over the past.
You can tell Nick is ready for turkey.
I'm ready for turkey.
To record this show.
Turkey time. It's turkey time.
Who cooks the turkey in your house?
Actually, so it used to be my dad, but now it's my mom.
Okay.
It's equal opportunity in the Carlisle household. Okay. Actually,
I'm cooking it for Abby's family this year, so all the pressure's on me.
Oh, all right. So tune in next week to see how badly Matt Lacer screws up the Thanksgiving turkey.
Hey, I've done it. I've done it before. It's not a hard thing to cook, man. It's really not. I'm doing it on the grill in a drip pan, and I'm just gonna sit out with a beer, maybe whiskey, depending on where we're at. Cigar and watch football, and just sit there by myself and like listen to music. Doesn't that sound like a great day?
Oh my god, that sounds amazing. It's turkey time. No, so we used to go to my grandfather's. We used to go to my grandfather's in Clearwater for Thanksgiving, and my grandfather wanted to do everything to the turkey apart from. Hold on, that's gonna come out. He liked to make the turkey fancy. Time out.
Okay.
No, he's dead now. What's he gonna do? But I'm talking like stuffing the apples and the oranges and everything inside the turkey, like citrus inside the turkey, bacon wrapping it, putting it on the grill outside by the pool. And I'm like, he was like going huge. He was going all in on the Thanksgiving turkey. He even wanted turducken one year, and I said, we are not doing that.
We did that for Christmas one year at my house. That was pretty good.
So, what is your Thanksgiving side of choice? You got your turkey or your ham. What's the first thing that you're pulling for? For me, it's my mother's mashed potatoes. My mom's garlic mashed potatoes that I've had since I was a kid. I have it 2 times a year. This is one of those times. A little bit of butter, a little bit of paprika, loads of garlic.
Really good.
The best.
I want to go with stuffing. I like stuffing. I don't really have a favorite side. I kind of load up on everything. I've recently come around on mashed potatoes. I didn't like mashed potatoes for the longest time, and I've recently come around on those. So that's a big one now. I don't really whenever this stuff happens, I blank on what sides they're actually. Start listing off sides.
Green bean casserole, mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese is a good one. That's another one I've come around
cranberry.
on. Cranberry, not really. I'm not a cranberry guy.
Green spinach or peas or bread or
bread, yeah.
Corn casserole. Or
cornbread.
Sweet potato casserole.
Hell yeah. Sweet potato casserole is number one. That's what it is. Sweet potato casserole is number one. Okay. My mom used to make it with the marshmallows. Ooh. That's number one.
Now, what kind of pie are you having afterwards?
Pumpkin.
Oh my God, you're disgusting.
I don't like apple pie. I don't like the sliminess texture of it.
Okay, well, I'm team pecan pie. I've
actually never tried it. I've never gotten to try it. I live in the South, which is kind of weird that I haven't tried it.
Yeah. Which is also weird that you really don't like apple pie, since you're from the South.
I hate the texture of it. Absolutely hate the texture of it.
Oh, just a nice warm cinnamon.
That's right.
Yeah. Nice whipped cream. Now, the people that put cheddar cheese slices on their pie, you can get all the way out there. Okay. We should be fit. Oh, wait, you were going to talk about some prospects.
This guy stinks.
Get him out of here. We were going to talk about some prospects to end the show. Do you want to go through that, or maybe we should probably do that before we piss people off with our food takes?
So, we don't expect anyone right now. As of now, as we're recording this, not expecting any big flips. I don't think anything. I honestly think this is going to be a rather boring signing day.
Mm-hmm. Probably, maybe for the better.
100%.
100%. Yeah. Nice, relaxing signing day for Florida State for a change. That'll wrap us up here on the Warpath. Once again, this will be going live after Thanksgiving has already come and gone. So from Matt and myself, we wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving and a very happy day of family time spent together.
And I have a few last second things. Okay. Basketball when this comes out.
Wait, hold on.
Are you going to use the iron?
Oh, I love it.
I didn't even mean to set that up because that's not my thing. But it's a basketball game on the day this is coming out in Tampa. I'll be at that. I'm excited to see him go up against another Power 4 opponent, Texas A&M. Also, I'm no longer going to Gainesville for the UF game, but I think I'm going to watch in Orlando. I don't know where yet. I'm hoping AMSO. I think that's where the Seminole Club of Orlando meets. So if that's where you watch games, maybe I'll be there.
Yeah. I should make you a one more thing, stinger, but except instead of the microphone that Ira uses, it's just a gigantic Texan flag. Maybe
if you took like the beard off of it and just put a hat on it, it would work.
Yeah. Or a golf club or like a golf club over the shoulder.
Yeah, like that'd be a good one. That'd be a good one.
We're done here. Thank you all so much for sorry. We're done here. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Warpath. My name is Nick Carlisle, staff writer with the Osceola. That's Matt Lasser. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll be back next Friday to talk more than likely about
who's signed.
Yeah. Hopefully everybody. Hopefully it's not that interesting. But also
there's some dude in the comments going, no, they're not. No one's going to sign. Everyone's going to flip.
Yep. Toss up between interesting and not interesting signing day. Let's hope that it is a signing day of all time.
I think it's a boring signing day.
Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you all next Friday.